guys out at a reasonable time. I'm sorry we're out of chairs. I didn't realize it was going to be this big on a Saturday. Make sure, if you haven't signed in, that's okay. Just make sure you sign in before you leave, especially if you're in the Biggest Loser program, so that way you get your credit. What else was I going to say? Okay, I think that's it. We'll talk about healthy holiday eating today. And just for sake of time, we'll save questions for the end, again, because there's so many of you. So yeah, if you're able to stick around at the end and you have questions, that's the time we'll entertain those. We're also videotaping the session, so if you need to review something or if a teammate wasn't able to make it, you can visit our YouTube page to view the presentation. And just trying to remember anything else. Yeah, I think that's it. So we'll get started. Oh, does anybody need to leave at 10? 11? I'm sorry, 11, yeah. Jeez. Okay, so just you? Okay, just a couple people? Okay, so I'll break, just remind me a couple minutes, maybe 5 to 11, I'll break so that you guys can get out of here, okay? All right, let's get started. My name is Kelly, I'm the dietitian here. I'm available for one-on-one consults. There's a special going on for Biggest Loser right now. There's $99 special for 3 sessions. And then I usually do 2 presentations a month. Take a little bit of a break during the summer because nobody really wants to be in the club in the summer, so, which is understandable as long as you're active outside of the club. So, all right, I'll get into it. I wanted to time this because we've got Thanksgiving coming up next week, so I was hoping to get this in before the holidays, so this is really good timing here. So objectives for today, you should be able to list at least one way to appropriately cope with emotional eating. We're going to just touch on that a little bit. Describe the plate method, which all of you are probably familiar with, and again, I kind of drive that home in every single one of my presentations because it's a nice little, I shouldn't say easy, but it's a nice little tool that you can use, especially if you're away from home. List at least one healthy substitution, and list at least one way to healthfully manage eating in a social setting. Before I go on, can everybody hear me in the back? Okay, can you guys see the screen okay? Okay. All right. All right, so I just want to open it up a little bit for some questions, if you don't mind answering. What do the holidays mean for you?
Family time.
Yep. Family time?
Getting together.
Getting together. Some of you eating, okay. What do your holidays consist of? Maybe some of the same answers, right?
Football.
Football, eating, shopping, okay. What is the most important part of the holiday season? Family and eating. We've got a common theme going on. Okay, and what would enhance your holidays?
Not eating so much.
Not eating so much, okay.
Eating healthier options.
Eating healthier options, yeah, not gaining weight, not worrying about gaining weight, some of the things I heard, okay. So the reason I'm kind of asking you this is just to get you in that mindset that really we should be focusing on the non-eating part. I mean, we're going to talk about healthy options, obviously, but I want you to start getting in the mindset of focusing on what the holidays really mean. Family, that was a common thread, and that's a really good answer. Family is really the most important thing, or friends, or whoever you want to spend the holidays with. All right, another thing I want to mention, that holiday meals can include your favorite foods. It just needs to be done healthfully. So I do realize you guys are all in a program, you're all in a contest, so you know, you guys are going to have to decide what's best for you being in the contest. And obviously some of your trainers too, you'll have to talk with your trainers. But I do want to mention that, like I said, you can eat the foods that you enjoy in a healthful way. You don't have to deprive yourselves, okay? Because I always say this too, when you get done with this program, if you've deprived yourself the whole session, you know, that may set you up for some challenges after the session. All right, so just a little bit of background on holiday weight gain. So Increased weight is associated with a couple things. Well, not just a couple things, but 3 of the biggest things: obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. Those are 3 major health concerns for Americans, and obviously weight contributes to those things. So I did a little research, and according to the Calorie Control Council, the typical American eats beyond 4,500 calories and 229 grams of fat just on Thanksgiving alone. So, I don't know, does that sound, I don't know, what do you guys think about that? Does that sound right?
I think on that day, because
On
you
that
tend
day.
to go, you know, there's things setting out. I think that's the thing. Maybe not all at once, but over that day, it's like that little extra bite of this and a little, and maybe portions are just a little over.
Yeah, I think it seems like a whopper, right? I mean, 4,500 or more calories seems like a ton, but if you think about it, if you're having several alcoholic beverages or several sodas, or like you had mentioned, nibbling on things, you know, pie, that just a couple bites of pie can easily increase your calorie intake. Eggnog, you know, all these creamy desserts, creamy dishes that are typical around the holidays, they can easily get you up to that 4,500. So again, you know, this is based on the Calorie Control, the Calorie Control Council, their research. So it may or may not apply to you, but that's what they're saying based on their research. Now, the National Institutes of Health says that typically we only put on about 1 to 2 pounds in the holiday seasons. So it's honestly, it doesn't seem like that much, but where it becomes problematic is we don't typically take that weight off. So if you think about over the span of 10 years or so, okay, 10 Christmas seasons later or whatever, we've now put on 10 to 12 pounds, right? So it's not just that 1 to 2 pounds we put on this year, it's down the line where it's really becoming an issue. All right, factors that contribute to holiday weight gain: stress and emotions. These 2 things can be really high at this time of year. You know, maybe you're stressed out about, oh my gosh, I got to get my shopping done, and I'm responsible for making the meal this year. I mean, these things can be stressful. Limited and lack of physical activity. Now, again, most or all of you are in the Biggest Loser program, so you know, you will be in here, your trainer will be on you to be in here and being active. But that's one of the things that tends to just drop down on the priority list, right? Oh, I've got so much to do tonight, I've got to get ready for that dinner, I've got to go shopping, blah, blah, blah. And so that falls way on the bottom of the list. And then, of course, pre-existing poor eating habits also contribute. You know, if you're a person that typically skips meals or don't eat enough fruit and vegetables or don't stay hydrated, all of these things that you typically do carry into the holiday season, and then that's compounded with unhealthy choices that you're making during the holidays. All right, so I'm not going to go real in-depth about emotional eating because, again, I have a separate presentation on that, but I want to touch on it because, again, emotions can run high at this time of year. So if you're feeling lonely, and believe it or not, some of us feel lonely at this time of year. You know, maybe you're missing family members you can't spend time with, or, you know, whatever it is. If you're feeling lonely, consider calling a friend or sending an email to somebody that you're missing that you can't spend time with, or even writing in a journal. That can help. Realize that food is not a companion. You know, when we feel like this, we tend to turn to food and realize it's not your companion. It may feel good at that time, but then what happens afterwards? You may feel guilty or like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and now look what, you know, I've got to deal with. Same thing with sad. You know, consider talking to somebody else or keeping a journal, writing your feelings down, even writing things down and throwing that piece of paper out. I mean, just getting it out, the act of getting it out can really help. Remember, your journal should not just be about you writing down your food choices. I mean, write down your emotions in there. Identify choices that you're making that might be triggers. You know, why am I choosing to eat this every single day at this time? What is happening that's the choice I'm making? If you're upset, again, identify triggers. Realize that eating will not change your feelings. Okay, again, it might change it in that moment, but once that moment's gone, then you're left with, oh no, what did I just do? All right, so the first first bullet point doesn't apply to probably anybody in this room because, again, you're all in a contest. If you weren't in the contest, I would tell you to be in the mindset of maintaining your weight, not gaining. But again, you're in a contest, so yeah, you got to discuss that with your trainer. However, I'll move on to the next point. Remember, you want to eat to live, not live to eat. Okay, we do need food for sustenance, and it's perfectly okay to enjoy what you're eating. But you know, if you're just eating all day, making poor food choices, I mean, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. It's not a good relationship with food. Some of you may have this mentality, it's time to break out the pants with the elastic waistband. You know, I worked with somebody who honestly had her favorite pair of sweatpants that she would wear at Thanksgiving. So, I mean, so again, you know, it's that mentality. You know, I've read things, and you can try this, it's up to you. You know, you can wear a pair of pants that's a little more snug on that day to kind of keep it in check, like, okay. The whole bad food, good food thing. You know, I really want to discourage you guys from demonizing foods. I like to use that word because that's truly what we seem to do. You know, oh, that's bad for me. I can't have that. You know, when you have that in your mind, that's when, you know, we're humans. We tend to be like, oh, well, I can't have it, but oh, if I just have a bite. You know, you're doing this internal struggle inside your mind when you label things as good or bad. So, you know, you can make healthier choices, and if something is a less healthy choice, then you can have small portions of it, but try to avoid saying, oh, that's bad for me, I can't have that, I can't do that. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for you to maintain your goals? You know, review those goals. When it gets to be Thanksgiving and those foods are set out, you know, review your goals. You know, how confident am I that I'm going to stick to this goal and I'm not going to have double portions of the pumpkin pie and go overboard with the meal. So really check yourself. Be proactive. So again, all of you should be moving. You're working out with your trainers, you're in the program, so that shouldn't be an issue. Just make sure you actually get here. The other thing that we tend to skimp on during the holidays is our sleep. We really need it. Sleep impacts our appetite hormones. So if we're not getting enough sleep, the hormone that's responsible for appetite stimulation, that goes up. We don't want that. We want our hormones in balance. So 7 to 9 hours is what's typically recommended. I do realize for some of you that's a challenge, but keep that in the back of your mind. It's something that we should be striving for. Focus on fun. You know, again, we make the holidays this stressful time of season. It's supposed to be a fun time of the season. So just shifting that mindset from stressful to fun can change your whole outlook and how you meet your goals. Practice good eating habits. Avoid skipping meals. Eat regular meals at regular intervals. This is going to help set you up to prevent you from making poor choices later in the day. So again, if you skip breakfast or you skip lunch, by the time you get to the next meal, what are you doing? You're eating double portions, you're grabbing for the first thing that you can find. So avoid skipping meals. You know you've got a long day of shopping coming up, you know, take snacks with you. It's cold enough now that you can leave snacks in your car. You know, if you've got a purse or something you're carrying along, put that in the purse. If you've got kids, pack snacks along with theirs. Use caution with fast food. It's not that you can't eat fast food, and again, during this season, it might be hectic and maybe that's your best choice for the day. Just realize that there are healthier choices at most fast food restaurants. So, you know, take a look. If there's restaurants you typically go to their website, take a look at their nutrition facts, try to pick out the best choices that you can find. Never go thirsty. If you've got a busy day coming up, carry your water bottle with you. Take sips all throughout the day. Again, staying hydrated, just like sleep, very important for your hormones. It's very important for your metabolism. So if you're dehydrated, you're not going to see the weight loss that you want to see. There's obviously two different ways that we can manage weight via food choices, and we'll get into that in the next slide. Do be aware of the candy dishes. This is especially for those of you that when you're at work, You know, if you've got coworkers that keep candy dishes out, or for instance, my grandmother always had a candy dish out in the living room, which was awesome as a kid, but now thinking back, I'm like, oh my gosh. So, I mean, beware of these things. You know, it may sound silly, but if you need to take a different path back to your office to avoid the candy dish, or take an extra flight of stairs to work off that piece of candy that you just grabbed, I mean, think about these things. And then, of course, yes, the holiday drinks are really popular right now. The hot cocos, the coffees, the eggnogs. You know, and coffee specifically isn't bad for you. It's usually what goes into it. That, and again, I don't want to say bad, but a less healthier choice. It's what goes into it. So be aware of what you're putting into your cocos and your coffees and the eggnogs and all those things. And eggnog can even be made a little healthier as well. All right, so there's two ways we can manage weight: portion control and substitution. So we'll talk about both. Portion control usually involves using some sort of measuring utensil, eyeballing, or the plate method. Substitution, you can do a healthier version of a less healthy choice. However, if you're going to substitute something with a healthier choice, realize that that does not entitle you to a second helping, right? So if you have, if you've got a lighter version of stuffing, you know, that doesn't mean get an extra helping of it, right? Because then you're kind of negating what you just did. You're almost better off doing the full fat version and having one helping then. All right, so let's talk about portion control. So this is going back to the plate method. Instead of using the plate method, I found a picture of an actual holiday plate. So if you look at this, it's a little harder to see, but half of your plate here, they've got vegetables and they've got fruits. This is the cranberries down here. A little more vegetable than fruit, right? And then they've got their turkey here, so about a quarter of the plate. And then up here, about a quarter of the plate is your starch. So your potatoes, your noodles, your rice, you know, whatever you're going to have for that day. So this is about what you should be doing with your meal. Not half the plate meat, half the plate potatoes, you know, relish, you know, cranberry relish all over the plate. So there's some ways that you can use your hand. If you're out at somebody's house or if you're at a buffet, you know, you can eyeball a little bit. One fist is the size of a cup when we're talking about things like rice, pasta, fruit, and vegetables. One palm minus the fingers is about 3 ounces, so that's meat, fish, and poultry. One handful is an ounce when we're talking about things like nuts and raisins. 2 handfuls is an ounce when we're talking about things like chips, popcorn, and pretzels, right? Because they weigh a little different. 1 thumb is an ounce when we're talking about like peanut butter and hard cheeses. And 1 thumb tip is a teaspoon, so that would be things like cooking oil, mayonnaise, butter, and sugar. So again, this is a nice little, if you're out somewhere, you can kind of, okay, this looks about a cup, what have you. All right, do be a clean plate dropout, okay? Again, leftovers, you can save the leftovers for another day, right? You don't have to have it all at one time. Use smaller plates, no more than 9 inches in diameter, because again, the bigger the plate, the more we just tend to want to fill the negative space, okay? If you use if you use a smaller plate too, it tends to look like your portions are bigger. So you kind of have to fool your brain a little bit. When we're talking about bowls, use teacup or mug size bowls as opposed to, you know, big bowls. Large size bowls, however, for salads and broth-based soups. Glasses, use tall tumblers. Okay, it tends to look like you have more when it's taller as opposed to going wider. Spoons, you can use teaspoons, even for serving dishes. I know that might sound a little obnoxious, and maybe to your guests it will be obnoxious, but realizing, hey, I'm doing 6 teaspoons as opposed to, oh, I've only got 2 tablespoons. So again, it's a mind trick. When you're doing serving dishes, the studies show that using ceramic is better than using glass. And then with lighting, you should go bright versus dim. And that's interesting to me when I was reading up on this study, because I always think about Outback. It's always really dark in there, and then they've got the light over the table, and I wonder if they're using that to their advantage.
Kelly, can you kind of explain that though? Like why the ceramic and why the light?
Yeah, what's the ceramic?
The study that they did, they said, I think especially for women, they said the ceramic psychologically not being able to see was better. I don't. That's what the research said in the study that I looked up, and I can look it up too if you have time after. Okay, so probably most of you know this by now, but 1 pound equals 3,500 calories. So, but an easy way to get there is 500 calories a day. So if you do an extra, and let's put it this way, I mean the holidays virtually last what? Thanksgiving through New Year's. So if you're doing 500 extra calories of leftovers every day, you know, that leads to a pound at the end of the week, okay? So let's take a look at an example. 1 slice or 1/8 of a Baker's Square candy cane pie is approximately 540 calories. So let's just say you had a slice of leftover pie every single night for a week. Technically, you can gain a pound or more just by doing that. Just by cutting the slice in half, that cuts it to 270, okay? So again, I mean, it's still something that you need to be aware of, but just even by cutting the portion in half, you're going to cut down on the calories. And just remember too, you know, if you're on a meal plan or a calorie plan, if you're going to do a piece of pie, it has to fit into your calorie plan. If you're going in excess of your calories, you're going to see the weight gain. Substitution. So on the left-hand side, Spark people, they have a Spark recipes feast. And then on the right-hand side is a traditional meal. All of the portions, I believe, are the same. The relish is 2 tablespoons, the mashed potatoes is a 1/2 cup versus the root vegetables is a 1/2 cup. So all of the portions are exactly the same. It's the same amount of food, they just made substitutions. So apple cider gravy for 2 tablespoons is 20 calories and 0 grams of fat, whereas traditional gravy at 2 tablespoons is 50 calories and 2 grams of fat. So even just that switch there is cutting down on calories. And I'm sorry, I should mention too, at the top they use the same turkey meat, light meat, 140 calories and 3 grams of fat. So they didn't even change that. Vegetable and fruit stuffing at a 1/2 cup is 78 calories and 1 grams of fat, or 1 gram of fat, versus regular stuffing at a 1/2 cup, 180 calories and 9 grams of fat. Roasted root vegetables at a 1/2 cup is 82 calories and 2 grams of fat versus 1/2 cup of mashed potatoes is 20 calories and 8 grams of fat. Cranberry relish at 2 tablespoons is 42 calories and 0 grams of fat, whereas cranberry jelly at 2 tablespoons is 55 calories, no grams of fat. Steamed green beans for a 1/2 cup is 15 calories and no fat. Regular green bean casserole at a 1/2 cup is 120 calories and 8 grams of fat. Roasted squash soup at a cup is 128 calories and 3 grams of fat versus a cream-based soup at a cup is 250 calories and 18 grams of fat. So our totals at the bottom, the Spark Recipes Feast was 505 calories with 9 grams of fat versus traditional meal was 1,000 calories and 48 grams of fat. So same amount of food, they just made changes. They didn't even change the turkey, but they made changes with some of the other things and saved, you know, about 500 calories. So there's your 500 calories right there. All right, when you're grocery shopping, obviously if you're the one hosting, you can kind of control the menu a little bit. Try to come up with healthier options. You can gather healthier modified recipes. I do realize that if you're hosting, you're going to have to deal with guests that have preferences as well. But even if you make some slight changes to things, you might be able to get away with it. Do make a grocery list, and the important thing with making a grocery list is just so that when you get to the store you don't get tripped up by all the other things there. You want to get to the grocery store and get what you need, not, oh, well that looks good, I'm going to put that in my cart. You want to stick to the list. Do look for sales on healthy foods, because again, I know some of you have said that it can be pricey to get some healthy things. So look for sales. Again, I know you don't have a ton of time to be sitting in the grocery store around the holidays and doing label reading, but even if you just take a peek at a couple things, that can be helpful. Try to look for things that are lower in sugar, calories, fat, and salt, but that are high in vitamins, minerals, fiber, and protein. All right, if you're having any type of cuisine over the holidays, you can use herbs, vegetables, fruit, nutmeg, cinnamon, cumin, low sodium sauce, whole grains, and sauteing to minimize added salt and fat. As far as some recipe modifications, applesauce, mashed banana, or avocado can substitute for some of the butter in baking. Yogurt can be substituted for some of the oil and some of the baked goods as well. Skinless turkey breast saves you 11 grams of saturated fat per 3 ounces. That's a large amount of saturated fat. You can also use things like pureed potato to thicken soup instead of creams. Because again, creams are loaded with calories from fat. All right, tips for eating in a social setting. So, if you know that you're going to be going to a party, you can have a little bit of what I call a spoiler. Again, obviously, if you're going to a special occasion, you want to arrive with a healthy appetite. You want to enjoy whatever the spread is. But if you know that you're going to eat lunch at noon and the party's not till 8 o'clock at night, it probably is a very good idea to have a little bit of a snack before you go. And you could, even if it's just a piece of string cheese or a yogurt, a handful of almonds, something simple to just kind of whet your appetites, and then you can go to the party. Take a peek at the spread before you just get in line and start loading up your plate. So if you're able to look, like let's say there's food laid out or there's a buffet line or whatever, or a potluck, kind of just scan what's out. Really determine, oh, I could probably skip that, but I really want a small portion of that, or whatever. And if there's foods that you typically can have any time of the year versus foods that are really only a special occasion foods, focus on the special occasion foods versus the foods that you can have any old day. Remember that feeling satisfied is better than feeling stuffed, so you want to aim for that satisfaction feeling. And along with that is kind of that 20-minute rule. Have you guys heard of the 20-minute rule? That it takes your stomach about 20 minutes to tell your brain that it's full. So again, if you're eating quickly, you can eat a lot in that 20-minute period. So slow down and try to listen to your body. Am I feeling satisfied? Do I really need to eat more? Or am I truly hungry? Liquid calories. I'm the type of person I prefer to eat my calories versus drink them, but I do realize the holidays, cocktails and beer and wine are very popular around the holidays. So, with that, try to avoid mixed drinks, and we talked about this a little bit last time too. Try to avoid mixed drinks that tend to have a lot of like sugary beverages in there or syrupy beverages. Try to go straight wine or straight beer. If you are going to do like a mixed cocktail or something, limit your portions. American Heart Association says 1 drink a day for women and 2 for men. If you're a soda lover, you can try some seltzer water with a splash of 100% juice and then garnish it with a piece of fruit if you need that little fizzy, bubbly feeling. And then you can also compensate. So if you know you're going out for a party on a Friday night, maybe you still eat breakfast and lunch. Please still do that. But, really focus on healthy choices for breakfast and lunch. A couple healthy snacks so that you can enjoy some of those foods at night. Okay, other ideas. If you're not hosting the party, offer to bring your own healthy dish. Make healthy food available if you are hosting the party. Again, you're probably going to have guests that like certain things there, and that's fine, but also try to have healthy options as well. Set out a vegetable tray, set out a fruit tray if there's not a lot of healthy options that you're making. We talked about the 20-minute rule. If it's not crazy, awful, cold and slippery outside, you can take a 20-minute walk after your meal. Just kind of depends on what's going on with the weather. You can also focus on, you can go sledding or play the Wii with the kids or do something a little active. Mingle with people. If you're at a work party, for instance, don't stand by the food tables. You know, go and talk with people, go dance, go, you know, go associate with people, don't stand by the food. Savor your food, do not deprive. So again, we talked about that too. Eat the food you want to eat, small portion, but really pay attention to it when you're eating it. Don't just, you know, eat it and, you know, inhale it and it's gone. You didn't really enjoy what you were eating. Pay attention to how it tastes. You know, any memories that might come up, any pleasant memories that might come up, the way it smells, the mouthfeel, if you're a texture person like myself. To really savor each bite of that food. And then the no thank you thing. You know, some of you, and maybe you are that person too, some of you might encounter pushy hosts or hostesses that, you know, oh, eat more, oh, you're not eating this, why are you not eating this? And you kind of get that peer pressure going. So, I mean, you may have to get a little creative there. You know, thank you, I've had enough, I'm stuffed, I can't possibly eat anymore. You know, you may have to get a little creative. Obviously, you don't want to offend your host or hostess, but you also, you know, you've got your goals as well. So don't get peer pressured into eating more than you should be eating. All right, so a little bit of a practice. Oh, does anybody need to leave? Sorry, guys, I'm going over time. We'll take a little break so you guys can get out of here. Yeah, just make sure you signed in as well before you leave. Could you just shut the door? Okay, so let's do a little practice round here. So what if you're feeling like, I don't want to spoil my appetite for dinner? What could you do here to make a healthy choice?
Drink water.
Drink water? Yeah, that's a good idea. Sometimes that can, you know what, and sometimes hunger can disguise feeling dehydrated. So it could be that you really just need some fluids in your body versus eating. So that's a good point that you brought up.
Chewing gum.
I'm sorry, what?
Chewing gum.
Chewing gum, yes. That's another good one.
Sometimes I use a protein shake, like if it's going to be a late dinner, I do a late afternoon protein shake.
Good, yeah, a snack or like she's saying a protein shake, something to, again, kind of just take the edge off the hunger if you know you're going to be going a long time in between meals. Okay, what about, I love green bean casserole, but it has so many calories.
Just have a small portion.
Yes, small portion. Any other ideas? Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key. You know, again, if that's your favorite holiday dish, you know, don't feel like you have to punish yourself watching everybody enjoy the dish. You can't have any. Have a small portion, make sure it's part of your meal plan, and move on. All right, and this kind of relates to the next one. How can I resist grandma's pie?
Probably can.
You probably can't, yeah.
So you have just a small, you just take a little bite. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. You know, half of a slice, or any other ideas?
Split it with somebody.
Split it, yeah. You can split it with somebody. Yeah, or even, you know, if you've kind of maxed out for your meal for that time. I mean, even offer to, you know, I'll take it home. Yes, I'll take it home. Although I don't know if that will appease grandma enough, but you know, you've got options. Let's just put it that way. You have options.
Or let grandma know that you're having an extra, you're in something beforehand, and you may not get to taste it now, but you can taste it later.
Yeah, and it kind of depends on how supportive your host or hostess is. You know, like she was saying, if you let grandma know, hey, you know, this is what's going on, I'll taste it later, or I'll take it home, or whatever, you know, she might be willing to budge there. What about let's watch a movie after dinner?
I like the Wii idea.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's still popular anymore, but I don't know anymore.
Do we dance party?
We dance party, yeah, or dance, what is that dance thing on Xbox or something, yeah. So I mean, it's, you know, it might sound silly, but again, it's something to keep you active, and yeah, if you've got kids in the house, I mean, that's a great way to bond with them. So yeah, I mean, and movies are wonderful things, but you know, if you've had a pretty big meal and you know you've had quite a few calories, it's probably a good idea to just get up and get a little active. All right, having company really stresses me out. Don't have it. You know,
Have your wine early.
Yeah. I mean, truly though, you know, again, you guys know your families and your company better than I do. But yeah, I mean, if it's really that big of a source of stress, I mean, really consider if it's appropriate for you to be hosting, or whatever the situation is. If it's really appropriate for you to be in charge of things. Yeah, can you divvy it up among siblings or family members or whatever? One of you is responsible for each dish or something to alleviate that load. Or what about yeah, if you're stressed out and that is you have no choice. You're hosting this year. Are there other ways you can cope with stress?
Exercise.
Exercise, yes. Please get here to the gym.
Meditation.
I think pacing yourself too, so you're not doing everything at the last minute.
No.
Yeah.
Take some of the things the day before.
Yeah.
You get up on Thanksgiving and start cooking at 6 o'clock in the morning, and some of the stuff we prepared a day or two ahead.
Have your table set ahead of time.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah.
All your serving dishes out with the note what you're bringing in.
Have a checklist.
Yeah, you know, and for some of you, I mean, some of you work well under pressure, and so, I mean, that's cool. If you work well under pressure, that's great. Some of you, yeah, a little bit of planning ahead is helpful. Like some of the ladies had set up here too. Yeah, having a checklist of things that you need to get done, or preparing a couple dishes a couple days ahead or whatever. Or yeah, having the serving utensils kind of set out ahead of time. So that way, yeah, it's not like, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff to do, they're coming in 3 hours, you know, all this craziness. All right, so questions? No questions?
How do you deal with triggers? You know, like there's things sometimes that I would never have at my house, but they will be there. And sometimes it just seems like if you have even one, it just launches you on a path of destruction. How do you deal with that? Because
yeah, let's open that up. Let's discuss this. So she's asking, what happens if you're somewhere and your trigger foods are there and you feel like, yeah, you can't just stop at one bite or one portion or whatever. What has anybody experienced with this? Yeah.
Remove yourself from the room, even if it's just from the kitchen into the dining room or wherever, you know, if you're in the house, or if you're at work. Like yesterday, there was a smorgasbord of treats. Every Friday there is at my work, and I had to just leave the lounge and come back later, and you know, just so that I wouldn't be needing to eat a lot of things.
Yeah, so if that's an option to remove yourself from that general vicinity, yep.
I think about my squats and the planks.
Yeah.
You think about it.
You just get completely turned off then?
I just had a hamburger and always have my ingredients, but I can't stay right. So when I go to grab something now, I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna drive jumping.
She's a midget.
I hope that helps y'all.
Yeah, I mean, whatever helps. So, I mean, yeah, if you think about, oh my gosh, you know, how many, you know, planks or squats or whatever I'm going to have to do to negate this. Yeah, I mean, maybe that would be helpful. Yeah.
I choose cinnamon gum, and I have my husband and my daughter taste everything. I don't taste.
Oh, are you living vicariously? and then they tell you how it tastes.
Meal by the time you're done cooking. So, yeah.
So she's kind of living vicariously through others, choosing cinnamon gum, and then yeah.
What about having an accountability partner from your group?
Oh, that's good.
Contact from your group. Just a phone number.
I love that idea. Yeah, I mean, you guys, you're all in the swing of the program now, so hopefully you've become friends or at least acquaintances with a lot of your team members. And yeah, I mean, maybe that's a good idea. You know, just kind of have an agreement with them, like, hey, if I shoot you an email on Thanksgiving or around that time or whatever, you know, can you just talk me off a ledge, or you know what I mean? That is a very good idea, and that's why we have this support group. I mean, it's not just for us professionals to, you know, whip your butts in shape. I mean, it's for you guys to. You guys are going through it, not us. We're not with you 24 hours a day. So if you have somebody that you feel like you can lean on, they're going through it with you, you've got the same concerns, please contact each other. I mean, that's what this is for.
I'm finding I'm telling people. I'm saying, this is what I'm doing, this is the lifestyle choice I've made to make this change, I've made myself this way, I want to change how it is, and I'm telling my friends. I mean, I've got a buddy coming in from DC tonight. We're going out for football tomorrow. That was a religious thing when he lived here. We would get together. We would go out to champs, we would eat god-awful stuff all day, we would sit there for 6 or 7 hours. And tomorrow we're going to sit there for 6 or 7 hours, and he knows I'm going to maybe look at the food, maybe smell the food, have a couple things, but make healthier choices. And I said to him, I said, eat what you want. Don't feel bad eating in front of me, but be aware I'm not going to do these things.
Good for you.
And it's the choice I made. And I think that's not even just within ourselves, it's extending it to making sure our friends know, making sure our acquaintances know, this is what I'm doing, and that's my plan for the holidays. We went out last weekend, we told our friends going in, hey, we're going out to dinner, but we're not doing this. And, you know, we've just been kind of trying to tell people right away.
Yeah, and that's another really, really important point too, because again, especially when you guys are done with this program, you know, and hopefully too, you'll still have some contact with your trainer or whoever, but again, we're not with you, you know, in the real world or whatever, so telling as many people as possible is helpful. And you are, you know, some of you are going to have really great supports and some of you are going to have naysayers. So you have to be careful of those people too, and I'm not saying you can't hang out with the naysayers. Maybe they're your own spouse or your brother or whatever. But you've got to stand up for yourself too. Like, this is the choice like you said, this is the choice I've made. This is what I want for myself. Please respect that. Yeah.
If you're the one who's hosting the dinner, give doggy bags to everybody. So it's not in your house. That's what I do. I have little plastic containers and I put everything and I load it and get rid of it.
Yeah.
That's
You're
what
that
I am for the
person.
holidays just to begin with. I just, you know, if it's weird, there's always stuff going home, like for my parents' house
Yeah.
or whatever, wherever you go. So I'll just pack it and send it all off to everybody else so I don't have it sitting there.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So I don't know if everybody heard, but you know, send everybody home with leftovers. Don't keep it for yourself. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
One thing I've learned is important to put everything in your food journal before you eat it.
Ah,
So whether
that's a
it
good
be
one.
like one serving of chips or even every meal, you should put it in before you eat it. 'Cause otherwise you have no idea what you're putting in. If you log it after, you don't have control.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's something different that I hadn't thought about. You know, yeah, putting in your food choices in your journal before you even eat it. And yeah, maybe you allow yourself, you know, I don't know,
One
half a slice of
serving
pie.
something, you say,
Sure.
oh, that's pretty bad. I should have one serving of 15 chips.
Yeah, and to go along with that, you know, even if you don't food journal what you're going to eat ahead of time, that's a good point. Look up, like, okay, I plan on having pumpkin pie tonight. What's it got in it? Just look it up just to kind of see, okay, yeah, I probably should stick to a small slice, not 2 slices or whatever. So you have that knowledge going into it.
I was going to say, one thing that has helped me with trigger foods when I can control is if I want something, I only buy things that are an individual serving. Even if it's a little more pricey, in the long run, I'll pay more for health care versus the increased price of them. So that helps.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. She's talking about buying stuff in individual servings to control portion sizes. And again, you know, yeah, I realize too that can be, it's pricier. I mean, it's easier to buy in bulk. It's less money to buy in bulk. But if that's something that helps you out, yeah. Yes.
Another quick trick is having like 4 or 5 go-to snacks or meals where you just grab it, where you don't have to make it. That way, something else you want, you're having a rush or having a bad day or whatever, you just have that, and then you get back on track.
Yeah, and that goes a little bit around, with meal planning too. And this is totally applicable to holidays, because again, the holidays extend for, you know, well over a month. So yeah, if you cook something, batch cook, put stuff in the freezer. So yeah, if you're having a crazy hectic week or a stressful week or whatever, and yeah, you're wanting those trigger foods, then you can pull something that's already been made out of the freezer and go that route instead of slaving in the kitchen for the next 30 minutes or more.
I usually set up a plan with all of our parties that we go to are family things. I set up a plan with my husband before we go, saying this is what we can do, this is what I set out to do, and he kind of helps me keep in check if I go out of the boundaries of what I had set up to begin with.
Yeah.
So if we set up a plan beforehand, then it's usually more helpful than just not, even for going out to eat or anything like that. I look up, you know, what the menu might be and what my choices might be. So I'm not, you know, when the waitress comes to the table, hey, are you ready? And you don't just, okay, yeah, that looks good, just give me that. So.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things is planning ahead. Just having a plan in your head, you know, I mean, just like with anything, if for some reason the plan goes out the window, I mean, don't, you know, get crazy about it and feel like you just ruined your whole day or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it can take some of the stress off of you if you have a plan in place. If you know you're going to a certain restaurant, you can look those things up before you go to sit down in front of the menu. Yeah, so just a little bit, or yeah, letting your significant other know, hey, this is my plan. This is how much I want to eat. This is what I'm allowing myself to do. Can you just kind of keep me in check if you're comfortable, obviously, with sharing that information. Yes.
So, like over Thanksgiving, we'll stay at my parents' house for like 3 days, and so I like pack and bring my own snacks and stuff for that whole time, so that I'm eating meals with them and trying to deal with portion sizes and stuff. But then I know that I have healthy things that I can either add to meals or eat as snacks between.
Yeah. Yeah, so she was saying too, if you're going to be away for a few days or longer or whatever, you can pack your own healthy snacks. And that's big too, because a lot of you probably will travel somewhere or some point over the holidays. So if you're going to be on a plane or on a long car ride or whatever, packing your own healthy snacks can be really helpful as well. Anything else? Yeah.
Sometimes I'll eat before I go to a party.
Yeah.
And I'll eat like a salad, and then when I get there, I'll just look for fruits or the vegetables or things like that. So I'm not eating their main thing. So it's just little bonus extras later. Mm-hmm. And then I'm still eating, but I'm not eating the chicken salad or whatever they have. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
So she just brought up the point that if you're going to go to a party or whatever, you can have a little something of your own first, so that way you're. You know, and that way too, you're a little more clear-headed when you have something in your stomach. I mean, if you're really hungry, if you're famished when you go somewhere, your judgment is a little clouded. So yeah, having a little something in your stomach before you go and make a choice about something much better. And that's the same thing with grocery shopping too. Try not to grocery shop, especially on the holidays, on an empty stomach. Take a snack with you or eat a snack before you go in the grocery store. Okay, all right, well, I will release you. We're on good time. I'll stick around for if you have any questions afterwards. Happy Thanksgiving.
So then I was
They don't go in the back.
Yeah. If everybody could just grab one chair and try to stack them in the closet back there or back along by the fire hydrants. How much I can yell.
You did fine.
Oh, okay.
All I wanted was beans.